Ambassador Helen Carter walked through the gleaming corridors of Summit Station, her heart pounding with anticipation. Today was supposed to be the greatest day in human history. After 50 years of loyal service to the Galactic Council, humanity would finally be accepted as full members. No more being treated as junior partners. No more dangerous assignments while other species stayed safe. She entered the massive conference hall where hundreds of alien delegates waited. The room fell silent as she approached the central platform. Her security chief, Robert Mills, stayed close behind her, his hand never far from his weapon. Something felt wrong. The alien delegates weren't smiling. They weren't even looking at her. Speaker Dorian, a tall insectoid creature, stepped forward. His mechanical voice echoed through the hall. Ambassador Carter, the Council has made a decision about humanity's request for full membership. Helen held her breath. This was it. Your request is denied. The words hit her like a punch to the stomach. What? But we've done everything you asked. We've fought your wars, defended your borders. That is precisely why you cannot be full members, another delegate interrupted. This one looked like living crystal, cold and emotionless. Humanity was never meant to be our equals. You were placed in the dangerous border regions for a specific purpose. Helen's blood ran cold. What purpose? You are acceptable losses, Dorian said simply. When threats come from outside our territory, they hit human worlds first. This gives us time to prepare our defenses. Your species serves as a buffer zone. A shield. You used us as bait, Robert growled beside her. As cannon fodder. Such an ugly phrase, the crystal being said. But essentially correct. Your losses over the past 50 years have saved millions of council lives. You should be proud. Helen's mind raced. 50 years of believing they were building friendships, alliances, trust. It had all been a lie. Humanity had lost hundreds of thousands of soldiers defending council worlds. They had poured resources into joint projects. They had trusted these creatures. We have treaties, Helen said, trying to keep her voice steady. Legal agreements that guarantee. The station suddenly shook violently. Alarms screamed throughout the corridors. Helen grabbed the platform railing to keep from falling. Her communication device exploded with panicked voices. This is Captain James on the HMS Defender. We're under attack. Council ships are firing on us. All human vessels, evasive action. They've surrounded us. We're hit. We're static. Helen ran to the nearest viewport and looked out into space. Her heart stopped. The entire human fleet was under attack. Dozens of council warships surrounded them, firing coordinated volleys. Human ships exploded one after another, brilliant flashes of light that meant hundreds of lives ended in an instant. 40,000 people, she whispered. You're murdering 40,000 people. Hardly murder, Dorian said calmly behind her. This is simply the next phase. Humanity will surrender all remaining military forces and accept complete council control. You will become a protectorate species. You will serve us openly instead of pretending to be partners. Robert grabbed Helen's arm. We need to leave. Now. Council security forces moved toward them, weapons drawn. Helen's bodyguards immediately opened fire, creating chaos in the conference hall. Aliens screamed and scattered. Energy blasts filled the air. Get the ambassador out, one bodyguard shouted before he was cut down. Helen ran. She kicked off her formal shoes and sprinted through smoke-filled corridors while Robert cleared the way ahead. Emergency bulkheads slammed shut behind them, sealing off pursuit. The evidence. Helen gasped as they ran. We need proof of what they said. Robert held up a small data drive. Already got it. Downloaded everything from the station's computers while you were talking. Communications, attack orders, planning documents. All of it. They burst into the docking bay where their small diplomatic shuttle waited. Robert fired up the engines while Helen jumped into the communications seat. Her fingers flew across the controls, opening channels to every human world, every colony, every ship. This is Ambassador Helen Carter broadcasting on all human frequencies, she said, her voice shaking but clear. The Galactic Council has betrayed us. They destroyed our fleet at Summit Station. They planned this for months. They never saw us as allies. We were always just tools to them. Weapons to be used and thrown away. She uploaded the evidence files to the transmission. I'm sending proof of everything. Earth, colonies, stations, everyone needs to see this. They're coming for all of us. Prepare for war. Prepare to defend our worlds. Prepare to. Summit Station exploded behind them in a massive fireball. The blast wave caught their shuttle and sent it spinning. Robert fought the controls, barely managing to engage the faster-than-light drive before Council ships could destroy them. As they jumped away, Helen watched the station burn. Pieces of human ships drifted in the wreckage. 40,000 souls gone in minutes. And this was just the beginning. Her hands trembled as she stared at the empty space where their fleet had been. Everything had changed. Humanity had entered the galaxy with hope and friendship in their hearts. The galaxy had responded with treachery and murder. Now there would be war. Admiral Jack Cooper stood in the underground war room deep beneath Earth's surface, watching the holographic display above him. Red lights blinked across the map of human space. Each red light represented a colony under attack. Each one meant thousands of lives in danger. He had been in the military for 40 years, but nothing had prepared him for this. "Confirm Ambassador Carter's transmission," he ordered. Lieutenant Emma White looked up from her console, her face pale. "Confirmed, sir. The evidence is real. The Council planned this attack for 8 months. They knew exactly where every human ship would be." General Patricia Bennett slammed her fist on the table. 8 months. And we never suspected a thing. "They were our allies," Jack said quietly. "We trusted them. That was our mistake." The holographic display updated with new information. 12 human colonies were now under siege. Council forces outnumbered them badly. Some colonies only had a few hundred defenders against armies of 50,000 aliens. The math was simple and brutal. Without help, those colonies would fall within days. Dr. Marcus Taylor entered the war room, carrying a thick folder of documents. He was the head of humanity's Secret Weapons Division, a project so classified that even most government officials did not know it existed. "Admiral, I've activated Protocol Midnight as you ordered," Marcus said. "The hidden facilities are coming online now." Jack nodded. "Show me what we have." Marcus opened the folder and spread papers across the table. "For the past 30 years, we've been building weapons and ships in secret. Nothing illegal by Council standards, but we kept our best technology hidden. We learned early that the Council never shared their most advanced weapons with us. So we decided to do the same." He pointed to different locations on the map. "We have shipyards inside hollow asteroids, research stations in dark space where no one ever goes, weapons labs on remote moons. We've been preparing for this possibility since the day we joined the Council." Patricia leaned forward, studying the documents. "You never trusted them?" "Trust is good," Marcus replied. "But insurance is better. We hoped we would never need these facilities, but we built them anyway." The door opened and Ambassador Helen Carter walked in. She had escaped Summit Station just hours ago, and she looked exhausted. Her formal diplomatic clothes were torn and dirty, but her eyes burned with anger and determination. "They killed everyone at Summit Station," she said without greeting. 40,000 people on our ships. Another 3,000 on the station itself. They didn't even give them a chance to surrender." Jack gestured to a chair. "Sit down, Helen. You've been through hell." "We're all about to go through hell," Helen replied, but she sat. "I've been monitoring Council communications. They're demanding our complete surrender. They want us to dismantle all our military forces within 72 hours. After that, human colonies will become Council territories. They'll station their troops on our worlds. They'll control everything." "They want to make us slaves?" Patricia said. "Yes," Helen confirmed. "They were always going to do this. The only question was when. We were useful for 50 years. Now they don't need us anymore. They just want to control us." Jack stood and walked to the holographic display. He stared at Earth, floating peacefully in the center. His home. Humanity's cradle. The planet where their ancestors had looked up at the stars and dreamed of reaching them. "Contact every human citizen in Council space," he ordered. "Tell them to come home immediately. Leave everything behind. Just get to the nearest human ship or station." Emma began typing rapidly. "What reason should I give, sir?" "The truth. War is coming. Anyone who stays in Council territory will be taken hostage or killed." Marcus cleared his throat. "Admiral, if we activate all our secret facilities, the Council will know we've been hiding things. They'll use it as propaganda. They'll say we were never trustworthy." Jack laughed, but there was no humor in it. "They already think we're primitive and untrustworthy. That's why they put us on the borders where we die first. I don't care what they think anymore." Helen stood up. "I'm calling for a vote. The United Earth government needs to make this official. I propose we declare the Terran sovereignty. Complete independence from the Galactic Council. No more negotiations. No more diplomacy. If they want war, we'll give them war. Jack looked around the room at the faces of humanity's leaders. They all nodded. All in favor? Ellen asked. Every hand went up. Then it's decided, Jack said. Send a message to the council. Tell them we received their surrender demand. What should the message say? Emma asked. Jack thought for a moment. 50 years of trying to be diplomatic. 50 years of proving they could be civilized and peaceful. All of it had been wasted on creatures who saw them as nothing but tools. One word, he said. Tell them no. The word went out across the galaxy within minutes. The Galactic Council had given humanity 72 hours to surrender. Humanity had given them a one-word answer that meant everything. No surrender. No submission. No mercy. Across human space, hidden facilities powered up. Ghost shipyards and asteroid fields activated their construction bays. Secret weapons labs opened their vaults. Sleeper agents on Council worlds received activation codes. The Council had spent 8 months planning humanity's defeat. They thought they knew everything about human military capabilities. They thought humans were weak and primitive. They were about to learn how wrong they were. Humanity had been hiding its true strength for decades. Now the chains were coming off. The war had begun. Governor Thomas Wright stood on the walls of New Terra's capital city, watching the sky turn dark with enemy ships. He counted 16 massive warships and hundreds of smaller vessels descending through the atmosphere. His colony had only 500 soldiers and 3 ancient defense platforms that barely worked. The Council had sent 50,000 troops to crush them. The math was simple. New Terra would fall. Sir, they're demanding our surrender, his communications officer said. They promised to spare civilians if we lay down our weapons immediately. Thomas looked at the young officer. The kid was barely 20 years old. Too young to remember Earth. Too young to understand what surrender really meant. Tell them no, Thomas said. And get ready to fight. The battle began at dawn. Council dropships landed outside the city, deploying waves of alien soldiers. Thomas's defenders fired from rooftops and windows, making the invaders pay for every meter of ground. But there were too many enemies. For every alien they killed, 10 more took its place. 3 days passed. 3 days of constant fighting. 3 days of watching his soldiers die. The Council forces surrounded the city, cutting off all escape routes. Half of Thomas's defenders were dead or wounded. They were out of ammunition, out of food, out of hope. On the 4th morning, enemy ships moved into position overhead. Thomas knew what that meant. Orbital bombardment. They would burn the entire city from space. Everyone would die. In Earth's command center, Admiral Jack Cooper watched the battle through satellite feeds. New Terra was losing. So were the other 11 colonies under attack. Human forces fought bravely, but courage alone could not overcome such overwhelming numbers. General Patricia Bennett stood beside him, her jaw tight with frustration. We're losing everywhere, Jack. Conventional tactics aren't working. We need to do something different or we lose everything. Jack stared at the screen showing human soldiers dying on a dozen worlds. Good people. Brave people. His people. The Council had betrayed them, attacked them, tried to enslave them. And now they were winning because humans were fighting by the old rules. The civilized rules. The rules the Council had taught them. But the Council had broken those rules first. They had murdered 40,000 people in a sneak attack. They had lied for 50 years. They deserved no honor. No mercy. No restraint. Jack opened a communication channel that connected to every human ship, every station, every commander in the field. His voice would reach them all simultaneously. He took a deep breath and spoke the words that would change everything. Forge the chains into weapons. All units, disengage limiters. Execute human doctrine. The command took only seconds to reach New Terra. When Governor Thomas Wright heard it, he smiled for the first time in 3 days. Finally they could fight the way humans were meant to fight. Activate the hidden defenses, he ordered. And tell our AI systems they're free to operate without restrictions. Across the city, weapon systems that should not exist powered up. Railguns hidden in building foundations rose from the ground. Thomas had been prepared for this moment. Every human colony had been prepared. They had weapons the Council did not know about. Tactics the Council had never seen. And now they had permission to use them all. The AI systems aboard human ships changed instantly. Before, they had operated under strict ethical protocols that the Council demanded. No ramming. No suicide attacks. No targeting civilian infrastructure. Those protocols disappeared in a heartbeat. A damaged human cruiser above New Terra, too crippled to fight effectively, suddenly changed course. Instead of retreating, It accelerated directly toward the largest Council warship. The aliens tried to shoot it down, but they were too slow. The cruiser hit at tremendous speed, punching through shields and armor. Both ships exploded in a massive fireball. Dr. Marcus Taylor watched from Earth as his secret weapons deployed across the war zone. Darwin swarms launched from hidden stations. Millions of tiny combat drones spread through space like a living cloud. Each drone learned from the others, adapting and evolving their tactics in real time. They moved in patterns the Council could not predict, attacking from unexpected angles, overwhelming enemy defenses through pure chaos. The Council had never seen anything like it. Their admirals tried to respond with traditional military formations, but the swarms did not follow traditional rules. They attacked like wild animals, unpredictable and relentless. On New Terra's surface, Thomas activated the planet's fusion reactors and deliberately overloaded them. The resulting electromagnetic pulse swept across the battlefield, disabling every electronic system within 1,000 kilometers. Council ships fell from the sky like broken toys. Their soldiers' weapons stopped working. Their armor locked up, trapping them inside. Human soldiers, equipped with simple mechanical weapons that did not rely on electronics, emerged from the ruins and attacked. The Council troops could not fight back. They could not even move. It was a massacre. General Patricia Bennett authorized the use of biological weapons on 3 other besieged colonies. Viruses designed to target specific alien species spread through Council armies. The soldiers did not die immediately. They suffered first, giving their commanders time to see what was happening and fear it. On another world, human forces weaponized gravity itself. Mines that created miniature black holes collapsed entire Council formations, crushing ships and soldiers into singularities. The aliens screamed on all frequencies, begging for mercy, but humans had learned from their teachers. The Council had shown no mercy at Summit Station. Why should humans show mercy now? Within 17 minutes of Admiral Cooper's command, the Council fleet at New Terra was completely destroyed. Not defeated. Not retreating. Destroyed. 16 capital ships reduced to debris. 50,000 soldiers dead or dying on the planet's surface. Reports came in from the other colonies. Victory at Jackson's World. Victory at New Hope. Victory at Terra Nova. Everywhere humans had been losing, they were now winning. Brutally. Decisively. Terrifyingly. The Council had mocked humanity's primitive nature for decades. They had called humans violent and uncivilized. They had been right. And now they understood why that was a mistake. Civilized species fought with rules and honor. Humans fought to win. Whatever it took. However brutal it needed to be. Admiral Jack Cooper watched the tactical displays turn from red to green as human forces pushed back their attackers. He felt no joy. Only grim satisfaction. The Council had unleashed this. They had forced humanity to become monsters. Now they would live with the consequences. 2 months after Admiral Cooper gave the one command, the galaxy burned in ways it had never seen before. The Council had expected a quick victory over primitive humans. Instead, they faced a nightmare they could not understand or stop. Captain Sarah Mitchell led a team of 12 humans deep into Council territory. They wore no uniforms and carried no identification. Their ship looked like a civilian transport, old and unremarkable. No one suspected them as they docked at a major Council trade station. Within 6 hours, the station's power grid failed. Its water recycling system released poison instead of clean water. Life support systems began shutting down randomly. 3,000 aliens died before anyone realized they were under attack. By then, Sarah and her team were already gone, heading to their next target. Across the galaxy, hundreds of similar teams worked in the shadows. They sabotaged factories. They destroyed fuel depots. They assassinated Council officers in their homes. The Council could not protect everywhere at once, and humans struck where they were weakest. Dr. Marcus Taylor sat in his laboratory on Earth, surrounded by weapons that should not exist. His latest creation was ready for deployment. He called it a consciousness virus. It was a signal broadcast on specific frequencies that affected certain alien brain structures. Council commanders who heard it began experiencing hallucinations. They gave contradictory orders. They attacked their own ships. Some went completely insane. "Is this ethical?" his assistant asked nervously. Marcus looked at him coldly. "The Council murdered 40,000 of our people in a sneak attack. Ethics died at Summit Station." He activated the broadcast. Within days, 3 Council fleets tore themselves apart from internal chaos. Admirals killed their own crews. Ships fired on their allies. Marcus watched the reports without emotion. This was war. Real war. Not the civilized game the Council had played before. General Patricia Bennett stood on the bridge of a troop transport, leading the assault to retake the colony of New Boston. The Council had occupied it for 6 weeks, believing it would be a safe base deep in human territory. They were wrong. Patricia's forces did not announce their attack. They did not give warnings. Human ships appeared without warning and immediately began bombing military targets. Ground forces landed and swept through Council positions with brutal efficiency. "General, we've captured the enemy command post," her lieutenant reported. "The Council officers are requesting to surrender." Patricia remembered the reports from Summit Station. The Council had given humans no chance to surrender there. They had just opened fire and killed everyone. "No prisoners from command staff," she said quietly. "Make it quick." The lieutenant hesitated only a moment before nodding. He understood. This was not about revenge. It was about sending a message to every Council world. There would be consequences for betraying humanity. Permanent consequences. Admiral Jack Cooper stood in his command center, watching the Battle of Kepler's Gate unfold. The Council had sent their primary fleet through this region, 3,000 ships carrying 2 million soldiers. They planned to strike at Earth itself. Jack had other plans. "Dr. Taylor, are we ready?" he asked. Marcus's voice came through the communication system. "The wormhole destabilizer is active. Once their fleet enters the gate, I'll collapse it." Jack watched the Council ships approach the wormhole, confident and unsuspecting. They thought they were heading to an easy victory. They thought Earth would fall within weeks. "Do it," Jack ordered. The wormhole twisted and collapsed just as the Council fleet entered. Space itself tore apart. Ships were pulled into the dimensional rift, stretched and crushed by impossible forces. 3,000 vessels vanished in seconds. 2 million lives ended screaming into the void. The Council's primary fleet simply ceased to exist. In the Council's capital chambers, panic spread among the delegates. They had lost their main military force. Human attacks were happening everywhere. Species they thought would never betray them were suddenly questioning the war. The Vex ambassador stood and addressed the Council. "This is madness. Humans are destroying us. I propose we negotiate peace immediately." "Never," shouted Speaker Dorian. "They must be punished for their defiance." But the Vex had already made their decision. Within hours, they announced a separate peace treaty with humanity. The Dorians followed the next day. Then the Crystalline Collective. The unified council was fracturing. Ambassador Helen Carter received the peace requests in her office. She read them carefully, then composed her response. It was broadcast to the entire galaxy. "You started this war because you thought we were weak. You betrayed us because you thought we would accept slavery. You attacked us because you believed we could not fight back. You were wrong about everything." She paused, letting her words sink in across light years of space. "Some of you now want peace. Fine. Come to the negotiating table and we will talk. But know this. Any species that continues fighting alongside the Council will be treated as our enemy. We will use every weapon we have. We will show no mercy. We will make examples of you that the galaxy will remember for 1,000 years." 5 more species declared peace with humanity within 24 hours. The war continued, but everything had changed. Council forces were retreating on every front. Their fleets avoided human ships whenever possible. Their soldiers surrendered at the first opportunity. The species that had ruled the galaxy for centuries were learning to fear. General Patricia retook 12 colonies in 3 weeks. Her soldiers fought with a ferocity that terrified enemy troops. Surrendering Council soldiers told stories of humans who seemed to feel no fear, who kept fighting even when wounded, who would rather die than retreat. Dr. Marcus deployed new weapons every week. Stellar igniters that made stars unstable. Quantum missiles that phased through shields. Nanobots that ate through ship hulls like acid. Each weapon was worse than the last. The Council had believed they were fighting a primitive species. Instead, they had awakened something they could not control. Humanity had removed all restraints. They fought without rules, without honor, without the limitations that civilized species accepted. And they were winning. Captain Sarah Mitchell's team destroyed its 50th target, a major military academy where Council officers trained. As she watched it burn, she felt nothing. No guilt. No satisfaction. Just the cold certainty that this was necessary. The galaxy was learning a lesson it would never forget. Humanity could be trusted friends and loyal allies. But if you betrayed them, if you tried to enslave them, if you murdered their people, they would become something far worse than any enemy you could imagine. They would become unstoppable. 2 years after the betrayal at Summit Station, Admiral Jack Cooper stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Defiant, staring at the Council homeworld below. His fleet surrounded the planet completely. Thousands of human warships blocked every escape route. The Council's capital, the center of their civilization for 10,000 years, was defenseless. General Patricia Bennett stood beside him, waiting for orders. "The troops are ready, sir. We can begin the invasion whenever you give the word." Jack said nothing. He just stared at the planet. Billions of aliens lived down there. Most of them had nothing to do with the betrayal. They were just ordinary people trying to live their lives. But their leaders had started this war. Their government had ordered the murder of 40,000 humans. Their fleets had invaded human colonies. One word from him and the Defiant's weapons would turn that world into ash. He could end the Council forever. Make sure they could never threaten humanity again. "Sir?" Patricia asked quietly. Jack thought about the cost of victory. 2.3 billion humans dead. Entire colonies turned to glass. Children who would never know their parents. Soldiers who came home broken in body and mind. Was it worth it? Had humanity won anything except the right to keep existing? He opened a communication channel. Not just to the Council but to every planet in the galaxy. Everyone would hear this. "I am Admiral Jack Cooper of the Terran Sovereignty. 2 years ago the Galactic Council betrayed humanity. They murdered our people in a cowardly attack. They invaded our worlds. They tried to make us slaves." He paused, letting silence fill the channel. "We have defeated you. Your fleets are destroyed. Your armies are broken. Your capital is surrounded. We could destroy you completely. We have the power to end your entire civilization today." On the Council homeworld, billions of aliens watched their screens in terror. They knew what came next. Humans had shown no mercy during the war. They had used forbidden weapons. They had committed atrocities. Why would they show mercy now? "But we will not destroy you," Jack continued, and his voice was tired. "We will not become the monsters you tried to make us. We fought for one thing only. The right to exist as equals. Nothing more. Nothing less." Ambassador Helen Carter appeared on split screen beside Jack. She had been preparing for this moment for months. "The Terran Sovereignty offers the following terms. Complete independence for all human worlds. Full reparations for our losses. War crime tribunals for Council leaders who ordered the betrayal. And the immediate dissolution of the Galactic Council." The galaxy held its breath. "In place of the Council," Helen said, "we propose a coalition of free worlds. True equals working together. No species ruled by another. No more lies. No more betrayal. Those who accept these terms will have peace with humanity. Those who refuse will face continued war." Jack added one final statement. "You have 72 hours to decide. The same amount of time you gave us to surrender. Choose wisely." The communication ended. On the Council homeworld, the government collapsed within hours. Delegates blamed each other for the disaster. Some committed ritual suicide rather than face human justice. Speaker Dorian, who had announced the betrayal at Summit Station, was arrested by his own people and handed over to human authorities. 17 species accepted humanity's terms immediately. The Vex, who had been the first to break with the Council, sent a message of gratitude. "You could have destroyed us all. Thank you for your mercy." 8 more species joined by the end of the week. The remaining Council hardliners, led by the Crystalline Collective, refused to surrender. They vowed to fight to the last soldier. General Patricia took care of them. Her forces systematically destroyed their remaining fleets over 6 months. It was not even a fair fight anymore. The hardliners were crushed so completely that other species watched in horror. The message was clear. Accept peace or face total defeat. By the end of the year, the Galactic Council no longer existed. The Coalition of Free Worlds held its first assembly on a neutral station. 50 species attended, including humanity. For the first time in galactic history, no single species held power over the others. Ambassador Helen Carter stood before the Coalition Assembly and looked at the gathered delegates. Some of them had been enemies just months ago. Some had fought against humanity with everything they had. Now they sat together trying to build something new. "We fought for the right to exist as equals," Helen said. "We proved that humanity will never accept oppression. We will never surrender to tyranny. But we also proved something else. That even when we have the power to destroy our enemies, we can choose a better path." She gestured to the delegates around her. "Now we must build something worthy of the sacrifice. 2.3 billion humans died in this war. Trillions of credits worth of damage across the galaxy. Entire generations traumatized. We cannot let that suffering be meaningless. The coalition voted to approve mutual defense treaties. They agreed to share technology freely. They established permanent courts to resolve disputes peacefully. It was not perfect. Many species still feared humanity. Many humans still hated the aliens who had betrayed them. Trust would take decades, maybe centuries to rebuild. But it was a start. Admiral Jack Cooper retired to a quiet colony on the edge of human space. He refused all honors and medals. He did not attend victory celebrations. He spent his days in a small house by a lake, haunted by dreams of the billions who had died under his command. Sometimes former soldiers came to visit him. They thanked him for saving humanity. He always sent them away. He had not saved humanity. He had just helped them survive. There was a difference. Dr. Marcus Taylor kept his weapons laboratories operational. The Darwin swarms, the consciousness viruses, the stellar igniters, all of them remained ready in hidden facilities. We hope for peace, he told the government, but we prepare for war. Always. General Patricia trained the coalition's first joint military force. She taught alien soldiers the lessons humanity had learned. Adapt or die. Fight smart, not fair. Protect your people above all else. Some of the alien recruits were shocked by her methods. Others understood perfectly. 5 years after the war ended, Helen Carter stood in her office and looked at reports from across the galaxy. Trade was recovering. New colonies were being established. Species that had been enemies were becoming partners. It was slow progress, but it was real. Her assistant brought her a message from the Vex homeworld. They wanted to build a memorial to the humans who had died in the war. A monument to remind future generations what happened when trust was betrayed. Helen approved it immediately. She thought about everything humanity had lost. The innocent dead. The soldiers who came home changed. The scars that would never fully heal. But they had gained something too. Respect. Fear. The certainty that no species would ever try to enslave them again. Humanity had entered the galaxy as naive newcomers full of hope and wonder. They had been betrayed, nearly destroyed, forced to unleash horrors to survive. Now they stood as equals among the stars. Bloodied, tempered, unbroken. The galaxy had learned its lesson. Never betray humanity. Never underestimate them. Never forget what they are capable of when pushed too far. It was a lesson written in the ashes of fleets and the ruins of worlds. A lesson paid for with billions of lives. A lesson the galaxy would remember forever.